Hey Sajis, welcome to Vivid Vibration. My name is Christina. I hope that y'all are doing well. Please give me a like, share, and subscribe as I'm just getting started. Any of your support is very helpful and super appreciated. Okay, Sajis, so we have the riddle, the shapeshifter, the mask, the shaman, and the mountain, or I'm sorry, the vision. Um, Sajis. I feel like you guys have been like in this energy of just really like figuring things out, like making sense of I want to say just like how relationships work, roles that we have in relationships, like ideas and perspectives, and like what can be, when can you say like this is just a matter of perspective versus no, this is like a solid, like there's a cycle here that needs to be broken, right? And I want to say just kind of really having to untangle the understanding of all of these things, because I want to say Sagis, either you or somebody that you know has really managed to just keep things in this state of confusion, by muddying the water of, well, that's just how you feel about it, or that's not my problem, it's your problem. And I feel like this has just been an energy that you are either you yourself are existing in this energy, or you're dealing with somebody who's in that energy. And I, kind of want to say, Sajis, that you're the one that's been existing in it. Although, again, you could be on either side of the story, so take it how it resonates. But it's this idea of really having to, I want to say, show up differently, because once you are able to really understand, the validity of something that forces you to kind of step outside of this in between where you can kind of get away with whatever, then I want to say there's an element of accountability that says to you, you have to like show up. There's an element of like you have to show up, like come correct is what I want to say. So either you're telling somebody that they need to come correct to you, or you're realizing that if you want to engage in the world in a healthy manner, like you have to come correct. Like, yeah, there's a gray area, and there are plenty of people who live in that gray area and they get away with a lot of shit. But that doesn't, then they're just they're like the used car salesman with like the gnarly, like that you just like you look at them and you're like, oh my god, like stop, that's not who you want to be, is it really? You know what I mean? And I feel like you are either dealing with somebody and looking at them like this, or somebody is looking at you and they're like, do you not see how you're behaving, and is that really who you want to be? And the mask again is the idea of like it's become your persona. It's who you are. Like you can't take the mask on and off. Once you start to exist in this behavior and in this like energy of life, then that becomes you're no longer taking on the role of the used car salesman. You are now the used car salesman. You know what I mean? And it's this idea of having to really break out of that persona of this person who lives in the gray all of the time. Um, because I think that that's been like this like security blanket for you almost. For some of my Saggies, it's a security blanket for insecurities that you have, and it's like, well, like I don't have to try and be more because I can just like blend in with the gray, and it's fine, and I don't feel like it. I'm depressed, I'm anxious, I don't, like I feel like there's just like all of these reasons that you're holding on to, and the idea here is that like if you can't let go of all of these excuses, um, for why it is that you have existed in this gray, or if this person can't let go of their excuses, because you can, like, there are reasons and then there are excuses. Reasons allow for us to gain insight and develop and move beyond our issues. Excuses give us the right to just remain in our trauma or remain in our toxic, like energy, because it's just like it's acceptable, because it's like you can't argue with me because I've made it too gray. And I want to say, like, you are another person really just saying, like, listen, if there's any way this is going to work, you're really going to have to just, like, let that go. Because it does not fit in with what it is that I envision for like my life. Sagittarius. We have the Hermit, the Seven of Wands, the Four of Pentacles, and the Eight of Pentacles. Sagittarius, again, I feel like it's this idea, like that, again, used car salesman, of just like manipulating people and, and I want to say just like keeping them in this like state of confusion so that you can really, I want to say like depending on your mood, move them in the direction you want them to go. It's been in your read that there's been either, you or somebody else that you're dealing with who struggles with, like mental health issues. And I feel like the idea here is that like part of that, like that struggle is that, if you can keep people wrapped up in a cycle of, like I was talking to somebody the other day and it was just this idea of, like there's a person who, like they keep cycling through this habit of, like disassociating themselves from people and then vilifying everyone around them and then like glossing over it and acting like it didn't even happen, until like nobody notices and then just repeating the cycle. And it's like one of those things where you're like, once you have like gone through it once and then you see it, it's like, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. And I feel like there's an idea here, Sagittarius, of like, fool me twice, shame on me. And really having to like pull away from that in order to like rise out of this cycle. Again, whether that is your own cycle that you're dealing with or, the cycle of somebody that you're dealing with in your environment, work environment, living environment, like however that plays out for you, love relationships. But it's just this idea of like there's a gray area that is allowing for a cycle to occur. And you're really having to uncover and understand how it is that the cycle keeps playing itself out. And once you or somebody else uncovers this, like what this cycle is, there's an idea here of like you better like show up correct or don't show up at all, because the manipulation has got to stop. I will not allow you to drag me through your trauma. I've got my own shit to deal with, right? I mean, it's kind of the feeling here. Whether you're saying this to somebody else or somebody else is saying this to you, it does feel like a very sincere, like I want to say like come to Jesus type of meeting or conversation. Well, we got some major arcanas here. We've got the Empress, the Magician, Death, and the High Priestess. And I feel like I want to say like I've had to see my way out of this. I mean, the High Priestess is very intuitive, and you're kind of like that psychic knowing and that understanding and that calling. And I feel like you or another person is saying, like I've really had to kind of see my way through this. Like this cycle, this behavior, this because I want to say it's caused a lot of confusion about what it is that you want to root yourself in. Because it's like this is my foundation. Again, whether it's like this is like my home, and I feel like I can't be comfortable in my home because every time I turn around, you're dragging us through your own issues again, and it's like I can't feel comfortable in this environment because it's not an emotionally safe environment. The Empress and the Magician is this idea of really, like I want to say having what it takes to create this environment, but really having to like pull on your own, like it's you have to want to do it. Nobody else can want you to do it for yourself. If you are in a toxic environment, and I feel like this is something that I said in another one of your reads, you are not responsible for other people's like somebody can say, "Oh, I went through this in the past," and that's unfortunate. And I'm sure we could find millions, if not billions, of stories at this point in time of people who have experienced some shitty trauma in their lives, whether it's physical abuse, sexual abuse, mental abuse, like however that plays out for you. There comes a point in time where you didn't deserve what you experienced, but you have to work with what you have, and you have to sort through it so that you don't continue to hand it to other people. And other people can love you and see the beauty in you, but if you are operating from a place of toxicity and fear and insecurity, then it doesn't matter how kind those people are or how much they like you. You will destroy it out of your own cyclical patterns. And I feel like there's an idea here of somebody saying, like, I can't build a foundation with you. You are cycling through, it's like trying to build a foundation on a tectonic plate. And I want to say, you really having to, or this other person really having to, like, sit with the reality of that and show up differently. Death again. Yeah, I mean, I feel like there's an idea here of just like you really having to end something or somebody else having to end something because they just feel like, what choice have you given me? There's no real choice here, like, I mean, like, this is the idea of like there are a lot of choices, but I feel like the idea here with death is just the idea that you've not really given me any choice. If you refuse to change, then I have to walk away from this. And I feel like in doing that, Saggies, there's an opportunity for you here to really engage in a new relationship. Um, Saggies, I want to say, like, you have the means to move past this. I really do feel like there's an idea here of like you need to change your environment. When you have established patterns and established cycles with people, sometimes, and I know this is like just run away from your problems. It's not running away from your problems when you recognize that like you have developed a cyclical pattern of behavior with a group of people. We are very like pattern driven people. And so sometimes the best thing you can do is cut ties with an acknowledgement of your cyclical behavior and go into an environment that does not serve to trigger you to enter back into those cycles. And so I just kind of want to say like there's an idea here of really needing to free yourself, or if somebody really needing to free themselves of this cycle because it's not healthy and it feels like there's not. I feel like the options have been exhausted. And there's just this idea of like really needing to go in a different direction. Um, okay, Shaddies, let's pull another card for y'all and we'll call it a read. The box and the ring. Yeah, I mean, I feel like again, it's this idea of like if you commit yourself to something that is just a cycle, it's going to keep confining you, and you really need to commit yourself to pulling yourself out of this cycle. Sometimes that means just changing your environment entirely. Um, so yeah, I that's where we're at with that, Saddies. If you are interested in booking a personal read with me, please click the link in the description box below. If this is where we part ways, thank you so much for spending some time with me. Sending you all my light and love. Please give me a like, share, and subscribe, and I will see y'all again soon. Bye.